Good morning, folks. This video on the left of my screen, I don't know how you guys are going to see it, but anyway, we have Nick Brown, who is from Clear Purchase. He's actually the CEO of Clear Purchase, has developed the system Clear. He's also the person who developed Visa's debit system. I'm Bashir Fancy. This is not a BizTech thing. My background also heavily from payment industry and credit card business, whatever. We are actually doing a unique thing today to help people in Kenya, MPESA, government, whatever, to look at this, and this probably would apply. Hopefully, the flag at the back, the Kenya flag, will give you a little hint of where I am originally from. So if somebody wants to talk in Swahili, please, you're very welcome. What we're here today, over the last few weeks, Nick and myself have had conversations around global mobile wallets and how they could be introduced in the country, and you not only achieve what you want, but you keep control, which is very, very important, and yet allow you to operate with other people, other countries that you choose to. So as I said, Nick has developed this system, and the intent here today in this short video is to try and bring things together. So Nick's going to address this thing in a minute. So I'll just lay out some of the challenges that are there. One of the challenges right now is that it's not news that Facebook doesn't follow any rules anywhere in the world, and they are into massive lawsuits with EU right now around the privacy of data. We know what they have been trying to do using WhatsApp, and the only reason people look at it and saying, we want to use this, which Nick has already addressed, but we'll talk about that quickly, is the low cost of transaction. The other issue is about availability. Third issue is about data privacy. So it's done locally, the data stays there under the purview of the government. You already have a platform in Kenya, MPESA, which has done a fantastic job. This solution is intended to work underneath that. And basically, the fact that there are no rules today around global wallets and how people are operating, so it's, fly by the seat of the pants, which is not good for any country. So Nick's going to talk about all this as we address. So let's take one at a time, because as I said, the videos that have been done, Nick has done an excellent job of breaking it out, so you can take a look at each of these things as they deal with the area. So Nick, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
So let's start with, since we are talking about you developed the Clear Purchase solution, which is pretty impressive, was to deal with the type of issues I just talked about, right?
Yes, yeah, and to a great extent. I mean, as Bashir said, I'm on the technical side. My background has been across the entire breadth of the payment rails, and I saw that there was a problem that was out there, which was allowing vast quantities of payment fraud to take place. And so I looked for a way to minimize that fraud. You can't get rid of fraud, but I looked for ways to minimize that fraud. And in doing so, I was able to bring down the cost of transactions to the point where there wasn't the need for minimum fees. And what that does is it opens up the potential in the rails of the payment world. It's the potential to facilitate 10-cent purchases, tiny transactions, and the type of everyday transaction that M-PESA customers would want to use, and that is not really viable right now. And so I have the background to be able to build the rails and facilitate with the intellectual property I've developed tiny transactions. So Clear Purchase, the whole purpose of Clear Purchase is to connect all the different M-PESAs of the world together, and also connect them to conventional banks as well. Well, that's where I come from. So I know how to connect into those legacy systems and facilitate transactions of any size, but specifically tiny transactions. between the different players.
So this is very powerful. You addressed the low cost issue by doing it, because that's the only play that these people were using was, oh, you can do WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever for free, and there's no free. You pay a heavy price at the back that people have forgotten, and the country loses its control too. So that's a very powerful thing you addressed. That the low cost will address all the unbanked and
Yes.
Right, which is very important for.
Very specifically, yes, the unbanked and underbanked, because M-Pesa customers are really in the underbanked now as opposed to the unbanked. That's specifically who I'm looking to provide services to.
Fantastic.
But not directly. Services provided through M-Pesa and through the banks and through everyone else we connect to. We're in the background. We're just facilitating for everyone else.
So this is a very powerful point you just made, that clear purchase or the concept of the system works underneath M-Pesa. So M-Pesa is still communicated to the world in Kenya, wherever, and this is working underneath that, but facilitating far more powerful things, correct?
Yes. It's like M-Pesa's done the hard work. Seriously, M-Pesa really has done the hard work.
Yeah.
I can come along and I can help M-Pesa take them the next mile.
Fantastic.
But not on my own. I can't do it on my own. It requires working with M-Pesa. I do not want the customer. They're your customers. I want you to provide more services to them, and that I can facilitate for you.
So two things
and I can do it safely. That's the key to this. Interoperability. The name of the game is payment fraud, and I know how to play that.
So you not only address the cost issue so far, address the usability and the reach to underbanked, unbanked, but now you added yet another part, which is even equally more powerful, which is the security of the privacy of the data, right? And security of the data, that people can't tamper with that, because number one, unlike WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever, or anybody else for that matter, the data is staying in Kenya for the Kenyan transactions. It's not going anywhere. It's staying local.
Yes, and it is, in a way, the intellectual property that makes all of this possible is enforcing that. We, as Clear Purchase, do not want information about your customers. It makes us vulnerable if we have that. So we actually don't want it very specifically. And one of the things I say is you cannot guarantee security. So what we've done is that we assume someone's going to break into our system. We're going to be really good at security, but we assume someone's going to break in at some point. Well, guess what? There's nothing of value to take when they do. That's the underlying. How do you avoid getting your system broken into? You don't have any prize at the end of it.
Right. You're not selling the data of these guys and manipulating with the marketing guys. So there's no reason to keep the data. I only wish that a lot of the companies actually adopted this concept principle, because we would not have fraud problems out there if people were doing that. That's a very powerful point you just made about now data privacy, data security.
Yeah. I want to jump in and say one thing on this, because
please.
On the bigger picture, because you mentioned the global mobile wallets like Facebook with WhatsApp. Right. This really came to my attention when WhatsApp was going into Brazil and Brazil blocked them. And I was already aware of the problem and starting to formulate, how can I warn the world that there's actually something really dangerous on the horizon? And it's these global mobile wallets, Facebook, Alipay, WeChat Pay, and there'll be others as well. They offer a faster, better, cheaper, cooler product. And that sounds great, except the damage that's going to be caused is monumental. And so it's that damage that Bashir and I have been talking about, and then the solutions of how to prevent it. And the reality is that you've mentioned two things already. One of them is reach. You can have on a global mobile wallet, anyone can have an account with anyone. Anyone can have a free account. So you can transact with anyone. how do you compete against that? The only way to compete against that is to connect everyone together so that the network offers the same. And that's what I bring to the table. And then the other part of that is data security. Again, we are protecting the data so it can stay local. But there's more to this as well. But those were two specific things that you'd mentioned, Bashir.
And it's a very important point. And by the way, what Nick just said is extremely important point for the people who are hopefully listening to this. I used to be the global head for the risk management and security for Visa, besides internal audit. But the reason I want to focus on that is the fraud problems in the payment world is massive. And I'm not even going to talk about the costs that are incurred to manage that. So this is a very important point that Nick has just made. So we've talked about rich, but there is the usability, the ease of use, the fact that Safaricom, already a carrier, has M-PESA, which has done a fabulous job over many years. In fact, they were pioneers here. Can you imagine now, the second thing is in mobile payments, just like in payments, you can introduce and do money laundering. People could do. The solution you have puts a stop to it because A, you're going to use the rules that the government has, right?
Yes.
To make sure that the transactions are conducted using those rules. And even if somebody did something like that, you have the process already in place to reverse it because it's in the closed area, right? You want to talk about it?
Yes, I'll do the second one first, because when you have an electronic trail of every transaction, then somebody's going to find it at some point. Because the ends are like, the trail is out there and it can be seen. And when you find it, now you can go through the process of reversing or whatever needs to be done. But it's visible. That's the way to put it. It's visible, it can be found. The problem with the global mobile wallets is that how are you going to find out what's going on? That's the whole thing. And this has become a main part of the conversation over the last few weeks. It comes back to the same thing again and again and again. How on earth do you regulate a global mobile wallet? How are you going to regulate Facebook? They're already ignoring laws all over the place.
Correct. Breaking them.
Yes. How are you going to regulate Alipay? You're going to have to get China to do it. How's that going to work out? So the other side of that is that central to what we're doing is we're building a network and we've got the rails for it, but we do not exist without M-PESA and the banks being a part of it, and those you can regulate, therefore you can regulate us. Because we do not exist without them. And therefore the regulations apply to all of us because it has to. And that's how you make it work. And the extension of that is that the Clear Purchase network and the other rails like Visa, MasterCard, and the ACH rails, they're the ones that actually end up imposing and enforcing the regulations. And they end up being the regulations that are imposed by, if you want to connect, you have to follow these rules. And then we enforce the rules. And so they're all meshed together there. But then we do the work of enforcing regulations.
It's a very important point because Visa, MasterCard follow the rules. Yes. ACH follow the rules. Facebook does not follow any rules. We've got lawsuits. That's one of the reasons Canada actually broke with Google on this big project downtown. Not because of any other reason, but to do with data privacy, right?
Yeah. See, the thing is that Visa and MasterCard are global companies now, but they are regulated. They're highly regulated.
Heavily.
They follow the regulations. They enforce regulations. It's going to be the same thing with Clear Purchase. And you're not going to be able to do that with WhatsApp payments or with Alipay or WeChat Pay or any of the others, unless they happen to have a physical presence in your country. Then you have some say over it.
That's key. That's the key because it's physical presence, data stays there, oversight makes a big difference. But there's another hidden benefit here. So because we know there are no rules around global mobile wallets, and a few countries have gone ahead and did the thing for them locally. But now you're seeing from left field and right field the likes of Facebook, WhatsApp, whoever else that want to do it. What are the rules? There are no rules. So this could be precedent setting for whole of Africa if countries like Kenya or Uganda, Tanzania, whoever, especially under the guy of M-Pesa and Safaricom,
as a leader for this,
would become a leader here because
yes.
they are setting the rules, because we know they wanted to go into Ethiopia and they want to go to Nigeria, and maybe they already got some stuff going. But the bottom line is, the minute you're doing this, you can enforce the rules locally in those countries. And what this could lead to, because some of the people are involved with the United Nations and so forth, is you can say, okay, is it potential to have a digital currency for Africa? The answer is yes. You could do that. And just like they do bankers' buying rate type thing, you can go back into local currency in Kenya shillings or some other currency somewhere. But bottom line is the potential for there now you have exists. It depends on who wants to work. Like Kenya does a lot of business with United Kingdom, right? So a lot of flowers, tea, coffee, this, then the other, tourism coming the other way. Can you imagine? They had a wallet. The guy doesn't have to run to the bank in UK to buy traveler's checks and run into a problem, because he could actually have that and make payments using this system, right?
He doesn't even need to transfer money. He just turns up and just uses it directly from his account.
From his account into the wallet and out there, which
Yes.
would put M-Pesa way ahead of the game, because they want to expand, which they should, because they have a very good product. Can you imagine? They just upped the game, and other countries in Africa would look at it and go, hang on, this is
Exactly.
an African solution. And the data is here. Now,
and just an extension of that is M-Pesa leads, others follow, which is what's always happened. M-Pesa has started at the front.
Correct.
Let's bring the conventional banks along as well. Let them play as well.
Yeah,
and again, I'm from the conventional bank world, so I can bring them along as well, and then they get to participate in this as well.
And you look at M-Pesa's got 20 years of experience of doing this, and they've really done well. When I was back in Kenya last September to take the kids for a holiday and show them my home and schools that I went to and wherever, and we were able to do this, right? Because we got family there, and they were able to use it. It's fantastic. You don't have to run around, worry about the fact that my phone might run out, or I'm going to a restaurant and I need some money, I want to go to a stall to buy something. It's absolutely fantastic. Now you add to this the fact, exactly as you said, that I can bring money, do whatever. But more importantly, I can't play games either, because you don't want me to do that, where a transaction that goes back and forth, even if you don't identify who it is, there is audit trail if the government wants to reverse something or go back and say, hang on, this rule was broken here.
Yeah.
That makes it very powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you, now here's the interesting thing. In EU, there's GDPR, right? The global data protection kind of rules that are there for EU, because I know the person who actually very well, who was instrumental in writing some of this stuff. And we bounced off some of this. They were very powerful for African Union, because what you're doing is you are keeping control in locally within Kenya or Tanzania or Nigeria or Ghana or wherever, and you could actually create your own union. And if you want to create a common currency like EU has done, well, guess what? This type of thing will open the doors for your rules, your banking system, for oversight. It would be very, very powerful. It is something that I think, because M-Pesa has always been a forward-looking, Michael, who built the company, and he's been the CEO, very smart person, but they got a very smart team there, and they've done some phenomenal stuff. having, like yourself, having been involved in some mobile payments around the world, I can tell you this would be the best possible solution, and the cost of people using it is very nominal. So you don't have people, and then you could even have one bank or whatever in the behind the scene work with you. So you are the acquirer, you're the issuer, you're everything, right? Because that's basically the concept is, right? You're settling here, settling there, right?
Yes.
Money in, money out. So you remove the existing 2, 3 different players. The only guy who's got the oversight, of course, is the central bank, Kenya, but you got the MPESA. It's working under MPESA rules. That's the most important thing to drive home. I think this little video here was to get people to understand. By the way, I don't know about Kenya, but I know a few countries in Africa are under tremendous pressure from the US government, probably doing the bidding for Facebook to remove the rules around privacy and whatever, which would be the most ridiculous thing ever anybody can do, because Canada, EU, and other countries are tightening them. Because if you want to control your own countries and your monetary policies, you better be doing that. Don't kowtow to anybody. You tighten your rules so that my data stays here under my purview, under my rules, meaning the country, I mean, and which M-Pesa is already doing that. So don't, anything short of that would be a disaster for them. And I don't think that's what they want to do. They want to move forward in a progressive manner, which Kenya has done, and so many other countries in Africa. So this could be fantastic, right?
Yes.
And you're open to working with them however they want to work, right?
Well, yes. I mean, we're about building the rails and providing a service, and the service is only to the extent that you want that service and the different flavors of it. Let's put it that way.
I think it's fantastic. If I was M-Pesa right now as an executive there or the board, I would want to take a very serious look at this. If I was in Kenya government, I would want to take a very serious look and saying, hang on, this can become my solution, my Kenya government solution, my M-Pesa solution, and I can do phenomenal stuff for companies because it's B2B, B2C, all sorts of different things. There's no hold here of who, right? Can get involved. So I don't know if you want to add anything. Other than that, when we give you this video, we'll also give you the contact of Nick, and it's Nick Brown. He's on LinkedIn as well, as I am, Bashir Fancy. You can see in this video, but if you come to me, I'll get Nick on right away, or you can communicate directly to Nick, because we are here to help. That's what it is. This is not about wanting to conquer the world. It's about helping.
Yes.
People, right?
And, yes. And we've done a series of webinars under BizTech.
Right.
And on Clear Purchase is my company's name. I have those videos on there as well. And I have a document which is a summary of the threat of global mobile wallets and the bigger picture solution of like how to prevent that from happening. So those are available there. There are also some diagrams that people have rather liked as well.
Yes. So we're going to put this video on an unlisted area on YouTube, so it's only intended for the audience, and we'll send you the link. Nick will send you the link with the where the videos are, and we hope sincerely that we can have that this can lead to additional conversations with you, where you can actually drill down, ask questions, whatever questions you want, because this should actually bring up a lot of other questions in your mind. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? We are doing this. No problem. Remember, Rails and interoperability means M-Pesa solution suddenly can actually work around the world. That's what Nick has just put, in case somebody missed it. That's a pretty powerful solution. So
yes, as Bashir had mentioned before, I know how to build that scale because I built Visa's global debit card system. And rather ironically, a few years after that, Bashir joined Visa again for the second time and was responsible for assessing security of those systems. So he's very familiar with the system I built there.
right.
Oh,
It's a very good one. And I think, so you have a couple of people who know what they're talking about. As Nick has said many times, we can help. And we don't have X to grind here.
the agenda we have is we want we want countries to be in control of themselves.
Correct.
We want the individual, even the poorest people on the planet, to have access to services.
Absolutely.
So that they can find their own way out of poverty. That's a driving force for me.
So absolutely. It's nick@clearpurchase.com, right? Is the email.
Yes, that's correct.
And mine is BS Fancy at Roger, but it doesn't matter. You can reach out to whoever. Ultimately, Nick will be able to answer all the stuff for you. But we're here. Thank you for taking time to listen to this and fire in your questions. And we're happy to set up a time to do this with you so that you are very well informed. But nobody should make a short-sighted decision of changing any rules in the country to allow somebody else in when you actually can. Not only, it's not just money laundering, it's the fact that you lose control of your own. If you lose control of your monetary system, you will have no control left of the country, right? So
part of the point of this is to trigger the right conversations. It's not that you're not having them, but maybe there's an alternative that you weren't aware of. Maybe there's a perspective. We're talking about what can happen,
right?
And we have the experience in the payment world to build almost whatever you want.
And you don't want it to happen. That's
what do you want to happen, and what do you not want to happen? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's absolutely fantastic. So, thank you, gentlemen. Asante sana for listening, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. All the best.